This is a fun story to start things off here. Biden seen holding anti-Israel book during Black Friday shopping excursion. Fox News reports this here. As you can see, him and the family coming out of the Nantucket bookstore. There's a little close-up on the photo there. You can see the book under Biden's right hand there. Pretty clearly, this book here, The 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. And so Fox News writes, President Biden on Friday picked up a copy of a book that described Israel as a colonial power in the face of Palestinian resistance despite his repeated support for the Jewish state. Biden was spotted by the press leaving Nantucket Bookworks holding a copy of The 100 Years War on Palestine, a history of settler colonialism and resistance, 1917 to 2017, by Columbia University Professor Emeritus Rashid Khalidi, the New York Post reported. Now, normally we would go with the primary source, meaning the first outlet to report it. We would feature that with the article. There's a pretty good reason we haven't yet. Because that's a bit of a punchline, the way the Post covered this. I do not speak to the Post or the Times for that matter, so this is not for publication, but my reaction is that this is 4 years too late, Khalidi told the Post of Biden holding his book. The newspaper noted it did not agree to any terms conditioning Khalidi's response as off the record or on background. Yeah, never trust the Post with an off the record comment. You know, that's like trusting TMZ that the camera's not rolling. Be like, oh yeah, so this is off camera, right? Yeah, that's never a good plan.
That's like expecting the stripper to give you change.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Fox News Digital has reached out to Khalidi and the White House. The book argues that the modern history of Palestine can best be understood in these terms, as a colonial war waged against the indigenous population by a variety of parties to force them to relinquish their homeland to another people against their will. It was not clear, well, that sounds pretty accurate to me. It was not clear if Biden purchased the book or if it was given to him.
All right. My money is all these guys are not only on the way out, they may never work in politics again after the way they ran this last campaign. All right, so listen. Let's make him carry this around. He's not even going to know what it is.
He didn't know.
Just put it in his hand. That's my bet.
My bet is that someone gave it to him in the bookstore. I think it's almost a 0% chance that he bought it. Right. Yes. I don't know if it was a practical joke or if somebody came up to him and said, Mr. President, because this is Nantucket. This is home of the virtue signaling lib. Mr. President, I really admire what you've done for this country. You did a great job restoring the soul of America from Donald Trump, although now he's coming back. So I guess all that work is about to be undone. But anyway, we love what you've done for this country, but we're really upset about this Israel-Palestine thing. Would you read this book? Would you read this book for us, please? Sure. Yeah. And then he just walks out with it because he clearly didn't buy it. If he bought it, it would have been a bigger story. The bookstore would have said he bought it if he bought it.
I think there is zero chance that Joe Biden decided to read that book and walk around showing people that he was reading it.
Right.
Either his staff decided this would be a hoot on the way out the door to have him walking around with a copy of that. Or, as you say, somebody gave it to him and he just said, yeah. Just walked off with it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just took it. That's what I think. The book, published in 2020 before Trump brokered relationships between Israel and 5 Muslim countries, criticized Trump for moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and recognizing Israel's annexation of the Golan Heights, which it captured from Syria during the 1967 Six-Day War. In the book, Khalidi wrote about Israel's alleged discriminatory policies against Palestinians. Alleged, notice. Okay, so this is why I didn't show you this at first, because this was the New York Post. The final insult. Now, this is an insult. It is certainly an insult to be walking around with that book under your arm. It's an insult to the Palestinians. But no, the New York Post says the final insult. After months of undermining Israel, Biden shows off book claiming Jewish state shouldn't exist. That's how the New York Post covers it, and some of Zionist Twitter was unhappy as well. Biden purchased one of the most anti-Israel propaganda books, and he's making no secret of it. No words. Again, I would say it's a 0% chance he bought the book. Absolutely zero. I don't think there's a chance in hell he purchased that book. If he did, someone would have said
Absolutely
it.
not.
Either the bookstore or the Biden family. Some statement would have been made. No. He was given this by a do-gooder lib with 14-bedroom house out on Nantucket who has a guilty conscience, or it was a joke. One of those two. Practical joke by one of the staffers, right?
Yeah.
But there's no way he bought it. Joel Petlin says, I try very hard to ascribe ignorance or incompetence before ascribing malice. But the idea that President Biden would walk out of a bookstore openly carrying a book written by a known anti-Semite is definitely sending a message. It really is the final insult to Jewish voters. Well, first of all, Jews actually voted for Kamala pretty overwhelmingly. Kamala did surprisingly well amongst Jews. Number one. Number two, why do you find it hard?
Gal.
Yeah, right. Number two, why do you find it hard to ascribe ignorance or incompetence to Joe Biden? If there's one person who you could very easily ascribe ignorance or incompetence to, it's him. It's him. Like, of course, he would either get duped into carrying this book by a practical jokester staffer, or he would just be so careless as to grab it from a person who recommended it to him and walk out with the cameras rolling and carry it. Like, to me, there's no intentionality there. Look, he's just walking out like he doesn't even know what the fuck he's reading.
He doesn't know what he doesn't know what that is.
He doesn't know what that is.
That I think is pretty much guaranteed.
Yes.
He has no fucking idea what he's carrying there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty true. Now, this is the author's son, Ismail Khalidi, tweets out, "Hey, Joe Biden, get my father's book out of your blood-soaked hands, you genocidal maniac." As you can see, yours truly, DueDissidence account, reposted that. Yes, that's the insult. If there's anyone who should take offense to him carrying that book around, it is people who are invested in the Palestinian cause, especially the son of the author. That's the insult. The insult is not to Israel or Israelis on the way out. But either way, that seems like a pretty I would say benign gesture on Biden's part, given the fact that he did not know what the hell he was carrying. But if he did know what he was carrying, I would take offense to that as a pro-Palestine person. That's who should be offended by that. That on the way out the door, let's say he meant to pick it up and read it. That is some lib virtue signaling shit if ever I saw one. That you fund a genocide and on the way out the door you pick up the book to read about it.
There's just no way.
There's no way.
Not even as a troll. It's too subtle for him.
It's too subtle.
I think he was having a lucid moment when he put that MAGA hat on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
That had intentionality to it. Yeah. That was Biden, that old scurrilous asshole coming out for a minute. This is just sundowning Biden in a daze, carrying what they handed to him.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to be. There's no way I buy for a second that he purchased that book. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny. It is sadly and darkly ironic that after 4 years in office, after a year of funding genocide, that you would be photographed with that book under your arm as a lame duck on his way out.
Yeah. The final insult indeed.
The final insult indeed.
Please clap.